surround yourself with people that are also very positive, with positive mindset. Look for those mental support, and you would be surprised how many people are really, really interested.
Welcome to IDP Real Talk, where we discuss real stories, real experiences, and what it's really like to be living in Australia. Today I have with me Regional Operations Director at IDP, Jane. Jane Lee, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to have you on, especially because your journey to Australia is exceptionally inspiring. So I'm going to jump straight in to the first question, which is about your personal journey.
Yeah.
So we'd love for you to share your personal journey from arriving here as an international student to your current role as a Regional Operations Director at an ASX-listed global company. What are some of the challenges that you faced when you came here, and how did you overcome them?
Sure. Yeah. Wow. That's been a long time ago, Prachi. So I came to Australia in 2001 as an international student to pursue my master's degree study. Like many international students in their early 20s, filled with a lot of excitement and anticipation, but also a lot of nervousness getting to a new country for the first time and being so far away from your home country and your family. And while I study, and I've faced some typical challenges that many other international students probably are still facing nowadays, that is obviously to adjust to a new culture and new education system, and without all the support that you typically would get while you were living with your family and to be close to your friends. So during that time, when I was still an international student, how I overcome that was actually really trying to make as many new friends as possible during that time and find out what support network that are available around me that I can leverage, and to know when to ask for help. And be that on campus in your university or outside of your campus through the local community. The other thing that I found was useful when I was an international student is actually trying to find some casual job opportunity early on in the journey. It really helps you to, practice your communication and immerse yourself in a real local community environment to learn about the local culture. And that would help you improve your personal confidence that, I can actually do this. I can integrate myself into this new living lifestyle and an environment. So my first part-time job as an international student, a lot of people don't know, is actually I was a shop assistant in a chicken shop.
Wow, I had no idea.
In a Westfield, in a southern Sydney suburb.
Wow.
I was only there for a few months, but I've learned so much in that first few months.
Yeah.
I was working as a casual. I was dealing with customers. I was, given an instruction to how to cook chicken. And that's when I've learned how to communicate in a real customer-facing local community environment. And that's where I've started building my confidence in that environment as well. And I think even that was 3 months, and that was really a great little boost to my confidence level that I earn money.
Yeah.
That helps with my living expenses. B, that I've actually learned how to communicate in the real community and that customer-facing environment. And then I've had a couple of other casual jobs involving actually helping international students. And as an education counselor, for example, in the local boutique education agents that's servicing mainly Chinese students. Then I was able to help other international students, helping them overcome the challenges that I faced when I first arrived in Australia. And it is through that experience I've learned the typical, a lot of other challenges international students face that maybe I wasn't experiencing, and how I could then offer them the help and advice to help them navigate through those challenges. And that's where I've grown a passion for the international education sector.
Wow.
And it's also through the network that I built as an casual education counselor in that particular company, that I got to know a connection in university. So now that's when I've moved on to another role as a part-time in a university in Sydney, and I started my journey as a customer service officer. And that's more of a formal part-time role, helping a lot more international students starting at that particular university in Sydney. And then that's where I started really building my career on. And obviously after I graduated and become full-time, and traveled a fair bit as I grew my role into a marketing and missions manager. And then I've moved on to IDP afterwards. And through IDP, and I started as an Sydney office manager, and the focus was actually, again, looking after international students that were studying in Sydney, and helping them solve their problems, leading a very passionate team who share the same passion and vision. And from there onwards, my career then further progressed within the organisation. I have to be very honest, I was being very, very lucky, given a lot of opportunities within IDP to grow, to step out of my comfort zone, and to be where I am now as the regional operations director within IDP. There's actually a lot of challenges along the way as well, along the journey. I would perhaps talk about three major ones that really stood out. The first one is actually really achieve a really good working life balance between the need to do a great job at work, which can be very demanding, but also really meet the needs of the family. And at some point, I was doing some study as well. So things can get a little bit crazy. So that was the first challenge that really stood out for me during this journey at IDP. And the second was actually really leading teams through a lot of changes. And I've been with IDP for 16 years.
That's a long time.
And I could imagine the number of changes as an organisation that went through over the last 16 years, big or small. So we've got a lot of system changes, process changes, and there were some structural changes as well along the way. And leading team through that journey and can be challenging. And the third one is, at the end of the day, is looking after your well-being as well. While you have all the challenges, is how do you make sure that you protect your own time so you can stay healthy and mentally strong,
for sure.
so that you could, you could keep going and bring your best into work and then in front of your family as well. So the three typical challenges. If I may summarize how I do overcome those challenges, I would say is that first of all, really is to stay positive. Be open as well. Like, you would have to look at different, I guess you have to look at different perspectives through as you go through those challenges. It being open as well, because you will get stuck with a lot of challenges along the way. You need to be very, very open. You need to be positive. Always have a positive perspective. Know when to seek out for help, and always ensure that you are surrounded by a group of people who are actually always seek out the best for you as well. And they're interested in your growth. And that you'll be surprised if you reach out and talk to people. You find a lot of people are really interested in ensuring that you're thriving. And you need to know who those people are and look out, the opportunities to seek those help that you can actually grab as well. Maybe one of the things I wanted to talk about is actually the mental health as well as the physical health is actually typically important. As I said, we've gone through a lot of changes, and you want to be positive, and you're leading your team, you need to really motivate them and encourage them to stay positive. But sometimes, you need to make sure that you are always in your prime condition as well. And sometimes it's very hard to achieve. So it's actually sometimes being very disciplined with how you spend your time. I have to say that I could be I was actually terrible at one point, right? And I would say about probably 7-8 years ago, I was very, very bad at time, making sure that I have the time for myself and protect my own time. I was at a breaking point, but that's when I've decided that I need to take a step back, not to stop working, but it's looking at, all right, I'm going to actually say no to things that are not immediately important or urgent, right? And I have to protect my own time. And I've been very disciplinedly, set a disciplined schedule to make sure I go to do my daily swimming routine. And I found swimming is actually very soothing for me. While you swim, you're actually being able to think about a lot of things, but you can relax as well. You can reflect and you can relax. And you can think about business, but in a way that it's very relaxing. Basically.
Yeah.
So I found that, and it also helps you with your energy level. I do it in the morning, and I'll make sure that I do lock in that 1 or 2 hours time to myself, and I do the swimming, and I found that helps with my energy level and then my perspective to things early on in the day that keep me going for the rest of the day. So block the time for yourself and do things like that would be very important. Then what I found also is that I've also started to really have some interest in cooking and baking. And the cooking and baking is another way for me to actually help manage my stress level and maintain my mental health.
I love that
as well. So I spend time with family. That forced me to spend time with family. And that helps me relaxing and put my mind focused more on the family and not so much about work. The beauty with this is I get to spend the time with the family. I get to enjoy a beautiful piece of cake that I make for myself and for the family. And when I finish that, I feel like I'm more positive and I feel relaxed. And so the next time when I turn up at work, again, that, I bring up a much more high energy level and a positive perspective to the business and to my team as well. So they're just some of the typical examples how I try to maintain my well-being, my mental health, which is very, very important in building my own resilience.
Absolutely. I think we talk about resilience in the next few questions, but there's so many things that I didn't know about you in what you've mentioned in your journey. And I'm so glad that you mentioned this thing about mental health that people often think is taboo, and taking time out for yourself is the last thing on their mind, but it isn't essentially so important. I love that you mentioned, how like creating a community or finding your community, finding your tribe here as an international student is so important. Mm-hmm. And also looking for a job. I think that's the first question the student has when they're here.
Yeah.
Absolutely something that we'll be covering in the next few questions as well, which brings me to my next question.
Right.
Beyond academic and professional accomplishments, resilience, as you mentioned, is key to the success of international students. This is especially relevant with the Australian government's recent announcement of a national cap on international education starting in 2025. And how did you build resilience towards your time as a student? And I know you mentioned a little bit about that, but this is something that I feel like students are facing nowadays. And what advice would you offer to those students who are concerned about these upcoming caps?
Yeah, I know there's lots happening at the moment in the sector and causing uncertainty for our international students who are already here in the country. Also, those ones who are considering going overseas as well. So one of the things I found particularly useful and important is that's based on my own experience, is actually being very, very clear about your own purpose. It's very, very important is why do we choose to go overseas? What is it we're trying to achieve? Is it to achieve better career perspective? Is it to improve the life of ourselves and our families? Is it just to learn a language? I think we need to be very, very clear with our purpose. And because with that purpose, that is going to be your guiding star. And the next thing is actually, map out your plan. Map out a plan, how you're going to get there. Now, and then be, as I said, positive. It's very important that, once you make a decision, you are determined to achieve that purpose. You've got a plan, and it's actually remain positive and open-minded in how you're going to get there. So you're going to stick to a plan, but you need to be flexible as well along the way, right? Because things change, like the caps and the rising living cost. So you have to remain open and positive and flexible along the way. And looking out to those, I guess it's looking at really the support network that you can really leverage around. You build that network and leverage those network, and try to talk to people, get different perspective really helps as well. Because sometimes, you get stuck with your own way of thinking. And sometimes it just needs a little bit of inspiration from somebody else. And again, I mentioned earlier, it's very important you surround yourself with people that are also very positive, with a positive mindset. Look for those mental support. And you would be surprised how many people are really, really interested in making sure that you are successful. So derive insight from those people, which help you form your view and how you can get to your original goal. So I guess very importantly, first of all, you need to have your very clear purpose, and map out a plan. Be open that the plan may slight change, but make sure that you know that your purpose is clear to you, and making sure you've got a lot of people around you that you can refer to get advice and get guidance. And there's organisations like IDP can support our students through that journey as well. And so that's the first thing. And I do want to congratulate our international students who are already here in Australia. You know what? You've already made a very brave decision. You've already taken a step forward through that life-changing decision to come to a very different country. That shows that you are brave enough. You're courageous enough. You just need to push that through. So that's the things, and as I said, and also the other thing important is actually growth mindset.
Absolutely.
Right. So we don't always know everything.
Yeah.
So look out for opportunities to learn new things and to travel to do new places. It helps you to really build your perspective and get the diverse viewpoints, which will, in turn will help you in problem solving, for example, and build your resilience and build your confidence as an international student. On the CAP, one of the things I do want to emphasize is that, as we know, the government's introduced the CAP for the purpose to really improving the overall quality and integrity of the sector. And we believe it's a good thing where the focus is now shifting more on to the quality and integrity. Because with that, we know that the students will have an even better experience and achieve greater success. So with our students who are genuinely interested in their future, and with that big investment in their future by choosing to come to Australia to study, I don't think they should be overly worried about it, because we know this country needs young talent. This country needs skilled migrants to support the growth of the country into the future.
Absolutely.
So we may have a few bumps and challenges along the way. The caps will create a bit of uncertainty, but we know that we'll bounce back. And we know this country needs our talented and quality international students who are positive and resilient. So my message to international students is stay positive, again, stay open-minded, leverage the support that are available around them. Talk to us if they feel like IDP is a good channel to seek out for support, because we have a multilingual team who generally are interested in the best interest of our students. So we can provide some guidance and support along the way.
Love that. I think students really needed to hear that from you. My next question is about trends that are ongoing. So what trends do you think that you can observe right now currently in the international education landscape, particularly regarding student preferences, destinations, and program choices? And how can international students stay adaptable to these evolving trends? And as you wouldn't have noticed in your 16 years with IDP, they keep changing from year to year. Like you will see all these trends about preferences changing for students. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Prachi. It's a very dynamic situation at the moment. And as you are aware, there are changes that is being implemented across several major English-speaking study destinations. And there are unfortunately more restrictive policies put in place for international students. And then that is creating a little bit of anxiety, and our international students are naturally tuning in to those policy debate and the decisions made by the government around things that would impact their study decisions. So, and this question is quite timely because IDP just released its latest emerging future research. We've been doing that research for a number of years, and that research is intended to understand our students' sentiment and to give students a real, I guess, a chance to raise their view about those policy changes and how that impacts their experience and their decisions in choosing destinations. And through this latest research paper, we've seen, and Australia is actually still the most preferred study destination. Of the 6,000 students we've surveyed, about I think that was about 24% of the respondents said that they still prefer Australia as the first preferred destination. That's followed by the United States, with 23% of the students saying that they would choose US as the first destination, and that followed by UK and Canada. Canada, interestingly, has declined significantly through the last couple of research surveys we've seen because of the continuation of the implementation of the caps. So students, as you can see here, students know what's happening and that they shift very quickly in terms of their preference for where they wanted to go, where they wanted to be. And very interestingly, that of all the students we've surveyed, about 66% of those students have applied to more than one destination.
Wow.
So they're not saying, I have to go to Australia, I have to go to New Zealand, or I have to... So they basically know there's a lot of uncertainty, so they feel well prepared by looking at more than one destination, so to increase the chance for success naturally. So that was a really interesting observation through that research as well. And when it comes to perhaps what really influenced their decisions, some of the more practical probably factors, naturally the access to post-study work rights is still actually quite an important feature provided by the destination country. So there are more than half of the surveyed students said that they would shift their destination country if another destination country provided better post-study work rights policy to them. And the other factors that actually influence their decision would be, and obviously, opportunity to get a permanent residency, opportunity to get a job afterwards, the living cost, and the ease of getting visas. So there's just a number of other smaller factors that is also influencing their decisions. In terms of study areas and the program choices, I probably can speak more from an Australasia point of view because I'm here and I'm kind of can see students who are already in Australia, how they're changing their preferences for what type of courses they study. And what we can see is at the moment, the students are very practical in terms of the programs they choose to study and with the career outcome in mind. And so they're looking at obviously where the job opportunities are. And you're talking about health science, you're talking about IT, cybersecurity related studies. We're talking about teaching, education, and all those programs are becoming increasingly popular for our international students. So amongst all these changes, and perhaps uncertainties and policy challenges facing our students, my advice to students is actually, to stay alert on all the updates, continue to stay alert on all the updates released by the government, join webinars and information seminars that's hosted by their university, for example, because university do offer a lot of those very useful information sessions to make sure the students are well informed of job opportunities and the changes that are impacting their study here in Australia. At IDP, we also, our commitment is making sure that we're providing timely, trustworthy information on the latest updates as well, from what we know and what we learn from the government. So, and also the trend on the job market as well. So we offer regular seminars, webinars, and I would encourage students to subscribe to those events as well, because that would help them to stay up to date in terms of what's happening, and which will help them make an informed decision on what to study next, what should I do with my career, and so on and so forth.
I love that you said, stay up to date and continue to be alert about the changes, because we have so many changes that come through here, and, attend seminars and webinars and events, and that's how you stay up to date. And we have our own very newsletter that goes out with all of these information pieces, and our social media channels are always updated. So that's a really good way for students to stay up to date as well. And as, staying in touch with their universities, another great resource as well. I love that you mentioned that.
Could I just add one more point here? And I know students are busy, right? And they've got part-time job and study, and it's a lot's going on in their day-to-day life while studying as an international student. So if they didn't miss those opportunities, and never mind, I think, know where we are, because we're here to help you. And means that you get in touch with us and asking, hey, what's going on? What it means to me? What should I do? Mm-hmm. So our expert education counsellor would then be able to guide you in the right direction. And that's the support network I was talking about early on, is that know who you can speak to when you need that clarity and information and help.
100%. I've met so many of our counselors who are helping students out with the most basic questions, like if they're interested in internships or what should I do next with my course and everything. I love that you mentioned that. So if you have any questions, talk to our counselors.
Exactly.
Love that. How does IDP actively foster diversity and inclusivity within the international education sector, and how does this commitment shape your strategies to ensure customer satisfaction? So it's a bit of a vague question, but I would love to hear your ideas on how that influences strategies.
Yeah. I think, first of all, I would like to say that is achieved through our geographic coverage. Now, IDP's got the largest global footprint in terms of our office network across more than 30 countries. And that shows our commitment to make sure that we're making our service readily available to more international students than anybody else, right? So that brings diversity of people coming from more than 30 different countries, right? And obviously our reach also is amplified through our virtual network, that we do service actually more than just those 30 students from those 30 plus countries. But in fact, here in Australia, we're servicing customers that are coming from more than 90 different nationalities. Wow. So that's what we call diversity. And we're not stopping there. As an organization, we're constantly looking for opportunities to expand our footprint to new countries, new areas where we can make our services even more accessible to more international students, help them realize their dreams of going overseas and change their lives. So, for an example, last year we've opened 15 offices around the globe, and we have put a lot of investment in Africa as well. And so we can support more students from Africa to realize their dream of studying overseas as well. And we've got also a wide global IELTS testing footprint to really make the English language the world's most trusted English language assessment product available to many millions of international students or people are aspiring to go overseas for their work and migrations. So So that's the first thing to start with. If I can probably bring the lens and zooming a little bit more to the area that I manage here in Australasia, we do a lot of activities to foster that diversity and inclusion and support our international students here. So we run a lot of cultural events. So we run, for example, an event to celebrate Lunar New Year, and which is shared by a lot of Asian countries in that celebration. And we not just only invite students from North Asia or Asian countries that celebrate the occasion, we actually invite all international students to come and celebrate Lunar New Year. And the same is that we run events for Diwali, for example, and we celebrate Christmas, for example. So they're just a few examples where we would invite international students from different backgrounds to those cultural activities. It helps them to build a new social network, a support network. Secondly is actually build an opportunity for them to learn a different culture. And thirdly is that making everyone feel that they're included. It might not be a typical festival or cultural events they celebrate, but they feel like that they're included in those occasions. They have a chance to learn. They have the chance to learn and integrate themselves in a different culture. So that's how we're actually working on fostering that inclusivity as well as the diversity. Looking at maybe operationally and internally as an organization, looking at our own people, our people servicing our customer, we put a lot of emphasis on making sure that we build a diverse and inclusive workplace that appreciate the cultural differences, appreciate the gender balance, and it's because it's with that workforce you can better anticipate our customer needs, because we've got a very diverse cohort of our customers from very, very different backgrounds. It's not only healthy, great for the business, for our team, for the overall culture, but it's also great for our customers. That investment in our own people and driving that diversity and inclusivity, in turn would also reflect in a way that we respect a different culture with our customers. And support them, anticipate their needs, and to know that they're all very different.
I'm so glad students are actually going to take away so much from that and learn more about IDP and how IDP is helping create the space where they can come together and learn about different cultures. And don't forget to sign up for our events, basically. I really do want them to see this side of Australia, for instance. We do so many events, and New Zealand as well. So love that. I do want to talk about how to land a job in Australia, because that is such a huge topic for students. So one of the most popular questions that we get for students is how to land a job once they graduate. So what advice would you give current students who may be facing challenges in securing employment in the Australian job market, and how can they stay resilient and persistent in their job search? And this is a loaded question, but it's something that I think students are constantly seeking, and it could even start day one of them arriving here in Australia and being like, okay, uni is fine, they start day one, but then also at the same time they start thinking about, how do I pay those, my bills, for instance? What's your advice?
Yeah, I think definitely it's a very, very important question, and one that a lot of students still trying to find an answer, I would imagine. So, look, I think there's no silver bullet. It's no one easy answer to that particular question. But what I could advise our student is that take every single opportunity you could while you're studying. Start early, right? And so as soon as you study, looking at, again, building a social network around you. Because in the current environment, it's about the information, right? You need to have the information about where the opportunities are and how you can access that opportunity. And so you need to have the information, a network that can help you and supply you that information. It's not just about going out on the internet and search for that information. So sometimes those information are not even available publicly, right? So it's actually really build your network, your friendship, accessing the notice board in the universities and the campuses. I remember when I was a student, I remember there were some job boards that, at that time, 20 plus years ago, not much of a technology, but there's a little post in the job opportunities, people need it, but nowadays you can look at it on your university's internal website, because some of the universities build a really, really good career support system. So they've got the career advisors, and they've got job boards that are published internally within the university's network. You need to know where to find those information, how to access it, how to best utilize it. Speak to a career advisor as early as you could as well, in addition to build your own source of intelligence around you, and grab every single opportunity you could. Even that means you may get yourself involved in some volunteering opportunities, and then you're not seeing an immediate return on your investment of time and effort. Just think about that. That helps you build the experience that you need, that you can put on your CV and add weight to your credentials for your future employer to consider you as the most suitable candidate. You build that little by little, and it will become something quite tangible. So just think about that and lower your expectation. I've had students come in and say, I want to do some big job. I want to do some office work on day one. Sometimes that's not realistic without much of experience to prove that you could do the job. Even though you might be someone quite skilled in your own country, has some work experience, you have to prove yourself again in a new environment. And sometimes that's, unfortunately, is the reality. But if you look at fortunately, that means it actually helps you to think differently, behave differently, and looking at the ways that you could challenge yourself so that you can identify those new opportunities ahead of you. So I would say that that's probably a few very important activities as you start your study journey early on to really focus on, if you could find time to do that. And as I said, my first job, nothing glamorous. I was a shop assistant in a chicken shop. I was serving raw and cooked chicken, and I give instruction to people how to cook it. Right, that was my first job, and I was very realistic with my expectation. But through that, I learned so much. Right, big or small, you learn things, and don't feel defeated as well if you get a no from your job applications. Don't see every rejection as a step closer to your success. See every opportunity as a learning opportunity, as a rejection as a learning opportunity, because every time you get a rejection, there's a reason. It's very important you reflect and go back and ask as well, what could I improve? And so that you could actually use that feedback towards improving your performance in the next round of the interview. So don't shy away from asking feedback. And that usually those people who interviewed you are very open. You'll be surprised, they'd be very open to share their honest feedback with you. And then you can use those as your gift, a gift they give to you, and improve your performance in the next round. And that's why I say every time you fail, use this as an opportunity for your next job hunting attempt, and also see this as that actually you can make that as a one step closer to the success as well. So eventually you'll get there.
There's so many hidden gems there for students, and definitely local experience being one. Not being afraid or feeling rejected after no's that you get. Everybody goes through that once they're here, once they apply to a job. It's not like you apply to a job and you get it immediately. But yeah, focusing on things like getting a volunteer position or a part-time position or internship, that slowly builds up your CV. I think that's so important.
Yeah. One of the things I probably would also suggest to students is maybe checking our Facebook community. So we have an Arrive and Thrive community here in Australia that we support our international students. And lately we've launched regular job opportunity post as well within that community. And the job opportunities are actually more targeted at offering that opportunity to international students. It's actually for international students. So I would suggest to students, so looking at those kind of community, and we've got one, and I would encourage people to give it a go and join that community and see and there's a lot of other students having similar experiences, and they can share their own experience and tips on how to find a job. And as I said, we do regular posting of the job opportunities that actually are available for international students as well. And we do run career sessions with our own successful alumni, who has gone through exactly the same journey as many of our current international students, and they become quite successful. So they will be able to share a lot of tips as well. We run those sessions with those alumni as well to talk about their experiences, and through that, our international students could really learn how they could really leverage those tips and advice and improve their chances as well. So that they know how to avoid some of those things that they should not do, or things that they help give them the shortcut to success as well.
Absolutely. And shout out to our Facebook community, which is exclusive to international students living here in Australia. We definitely will be adding a link to that so students can join that.
Perfect.
The next question is, what are the key priorities for IDP in ensuring a welcoming and supportive environment for international students in Australia? And definitely having that community is one of them. But what are the other priorities that we have here where we can support international students?
Well, I've just now mentioned about a bit of Arrive and Thrive. Maybe I'll elaborate a little bit more about that, because that really linked to the question that you're asking just now. So Arrive and Thrive, we've launched a program about 3 years ago with the intention to build a support network for our IDP international students coming from different countries and arriving in Australia, and to help support them, they're settling down in Australia smoothly, and making sure that we're providing a social connection and opportunities for them to build their confidence and help them integrate into the local community, and also help them feel excited and supported and fulfillment through their study experience here in Australia. So it's in short, and Arrive and Thrive is a program to support our international students while they're here in Australia by building and providing and building a community where they feel they're included, they're supported, and that's through a number of very important events and social events, information sessions, just to making sure they have all the important information they need to thrive while they're here. Practical support like a career advice, and connecting them to the successful alumni here in Australia as well, to expand their reach to some of those very, very important resources where they can seek for help. And we also have some very tangible rewards that are available for our international students. Things like, occasionally we will run promotions to offer more of a, like, for example, discounted an IELTS testing, or we offer an IDP students special fee for the migration-related services as well, to help reduce their cost of living pressure as well. So in short, this is probably the most important initiative we have in terms of building that supportive community for our international students. And we have a office presence across 6 locations, across 7 now. We've got Canberra, across in Australia, and we've got one in Auckland. And through this nationwide coverage, we continue to provide those support on the ground, as well as through our pretty extensive virtual presence as well. And very importantly is we make sure our counselors are multilingual. We know that our students are from very different backgrounds, and a lot of times they need the support in their own language. They feel more comfortable and more relatable. So we have a multilingual team on the ground to support our students speaking different languages as well. So that was another key point I really wanted to mention. And obviously, the priority is making sure our teams are up to date with the latest information and the latest update, and well trained, and so we can actually provide the best service to our students. And the customer experience is actually a very, very important success measure for us. Our success of our customers is the success of our business. And to do that, we also, as you're probably aware, that we have been using Net Promoter Score to help us gauge our student satisfaction and the experience with IDP, and whether they feel welcomed, whether their problems being resolved by speaking to our counselors, and where we could improve. And we will continue to utilize Net Promoter Score, or we call NPS, to understand our customers' evolving needs and where else we could do to better support them and to deliver an even better customer experience.
Love that. I think for anybody who wants to be a part of the IDP Thrive program, you can go to our website and sign up, because it sounds like the exact same thing that I needed when I came here as an international student. Like, I would love to have signed up for IDP Thrive program.
I know, right? Because when I arrived in 2001, there's nothing like this. And I feel like, actually, if international students know where to look for help,
exactly,
they're actually quite lucky. There's a lot that is available. And I wish that this program had existed at
Likewise.
that time. My life would be so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And that also makes me think of the student essential services that we offer students in terms of accommodation, helping them set up their banking, and etc. So definitely check out our website for more of that information.
Correct.
That brings me to the last question, which is about any words of encouragement or advice that you have to those who dream of studying abroad and pursuing their aspirations in today's rapidly evolving and changing world.
Yeah, I think it is very important, first of all, to understand, or perhaps not understand, I would say, really be very clear with your purpose. Right, I'm going to go back to that. Be clear with your purpose and your vision. And sometimes maybe you don't have a very clear purpose. We know a lot of international students came here and they're young, and sometimes was to influence the family and all that. But you can find your purpose and making sure that you know why you're here, what you want it to become, and how you're going to get there. And it's okay if you don't have all the answers that I mentioned, that, but you need to find those answers. And that means that looking at support network, as I said, looking at what is it you could look, what are the resources available, what are the people around you that can help you, what are the support network that is already there that you could leverage. And don't shy away. Don't be shy to ask questions, and don't hesitate. Ask help. So that's the first thing. Know your purpose. Know where you can seek for help. And if you don't have a purpose, it's okay. Right? We all have those moments that we have no idea what are we doing, but we push forward and we talk to people. We know there's a support network. We talk to people who can help us find our clarity. Right, and you form your purpose, and be persistent. Once you define what you want to become, be persistent with that, and be flexible along the way as well. While you're persistent in hitting your end goal, the path in getting there can change. Is that to be open and be flexible and be open to change along the way as well. And I'm trying to protect your own mental health and your well-being as well along the way. And you talked about resilience, and that's very important that you maintain a good mental well-being. And there are help available out there in terms of you needed people to talk to, have a confidential chat, and I think IDP's got some resources that we can refer our students to. Apart from that is really looking at things that really help you de-stress, like things that I've talked about. Life is not always rosy along this way as we work tirelessly to chase our purpose, and looking at it constantly changing maybe the course a little bit, trying to get there. You get stuck sometimes, get tired, again, you're trying to find the clarity. Is it looking at it, or along that way, you need to make sure you're give some time to yourself as well. You talk to other people, get their perspective, form your own opinion. Then also at times you need to give it a bit of time to yourself, and know when to do that. I was doing swimming, I was doing baking, cooking, whatever it is that helped me to really have a bit of work and life balance and de-stress, so I can bring the best myself version forward. And in your view, it could be biking, it could be, go out and talk to your friend. It can sometimes be a really good way of distress, or maybe doing some sports. So whatever works for you.
Absolutely.
Do things legal. That's very important. We're a good citizen, and we need to do. We need to behave. But that's a joke. But so I know that our students are incredible. So so those are the things: is protect yourself, your time as well. Sometimes give yourself some time as well, and sometimes just say, well, sometimes it's okay not. It's okay not to be okay, right?
Absolutely.
If we are really burnt out, we don't know, we lost a little bit of our, I think we lost a little bit about our clarity, and we got stuck. Just remember, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Not many people like yourself are like that. Give yourself the time, and give yourself a bit of flexibility yourself. Don't push too hard at times as well. You need to push yourself hard at the same time, but you need to give you a bit of time and credit to yourself.
For sure.
If you're here, you're considering studying overseas, or you're already here, you're actually already making some big change in your life. So that's big, that's courageous, you're brave.
Absolutely.
You've done that. That means you can keep pushing. You can accomplish anything if you put your mind to it. And then, when you got stuck, take a step back, talk to people, find a way to, de-stress, and don't feel like you need to rush to get there. Sometimes it's okay to get a bit of detour and come back and slow down a little bit and get going again. And that's how you build your resilience as well.
Absolutely. I think students have so much to take away from your words of encouragement. We have so many gems in this episode, and students have so much to learn from it. I'm so thankful for you and your time today, but thank you so much for sharing all that you did. And lovely to have you on the podcast finally, Jane, and we're excited for students to hear all about it.
No worries. Thank you, Prachi. I really appreciate this opportunity. Thanks for having me.
Lovely.